Hello and welcome back to my channel. So if Congress doesn't pay any bills before the end of this month, the government will shut down. Who's to blame for this? Listen to this, guys. Republicans are threatening government shutdown again unless their budget cuts are passed. Threatening the entire country just to get your way is not a good negotiating tactic, and it hurts American citizens. People struggle to survive during shutdowns, while Republicans, well, you know what? The funny thing is that Republicans still get their paychecks, regardless of shutdown or not. These people should be finding solutions, not adding to the problem. People on TikTok reacted to this news, and I did collect a few videos for you guys. I mean, why not? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below and let's get into these videos. I'm gonna leave my own thoughts according to my research at the end of this video, so please make sure I watch this video up to the end. Let's get into the clips.
Oh my God, y'all, like, the shit has finally hit the fan. The U.S. is about to reach its credit line. Do you know what that means? They can't get no more cash for no governmental programs, food stamps, Social Security, anything of that nature. They talk about taking extreme measures. Even banks ain't gonna be able to lend money, and they're gonna be withholding investments. Just watch the video. Just watch the video. That's all I can say.
Let's talk about a showdown now that could totally throw the global economy into chaos here. And it may be coming sooner than expected because Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen today is sounding the alarm. She's saying the U.S. could hit its debt limit by Thursday. Here is what that means. Here's why this matters. It would mean that the government couldn't actually issue debt anymore. They'd basically run out of cash for programs that exist. Social Security, federal salaries like the military, veterans benefits. This would also really throw a wrench into global markets. It could send interest rates even higher. So Yellen is telling the House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, here that the Treasury will have to take what she describes as extraordinary measures to avoid a default. And the White House says, hey, raising the limit isn't up for debate.
We will not be doing any negotiation over the debt ceiling. It's not and should not be a political football.
Garrett Haake is joining us now. So, Garrett, I get that Karine Jean-Pierre says it should not be a political football. It is probably going to end up being a political football, right? The potential for the first big showdown between the House, led by Republicans, and the president.
Yeah, absolutely, Hallie. This is going to be a huge battle in the first half of the year because everyone's staking out positions here that are untenable. The House says they will not, or excuse me, the White House says they will not negotiate at all. House Republicans say, oh, sure, we'll negotiate, but you're going to have to cut spending in a major way. And Senate Democrats are like, we got to just get this thing moving here. We got to start working to pass something. And so I think what you're going to see is probably the Senate begin to start working on passing a clean debt ceiling lift here sometime in the next couple of weeks when they come back into town, and try to align with the White House, jam House Republicans into accepting something here or risk being blamed for all the bad stuff that you said would happen if we hit the debt ceiling. So remember, not the same thing as a government shutdown here, but massive, massive financial implications here that we have never seen because we have never gone over that debt ceiling cliff. But House Republicans, including in that big fight to make Kevin McCarthy Speaker, kind of rallied around the idea that they are ready to have this fight to cut spending right now.
Talk about the consequences here, because can I just be real? Like, normal people who don't live and cover Washington every day hear debt limit and you're like, nope, no thank you. I'm going to go change. This matters because there are like real consequences here that matter for, like, if you like money, you will care about this.
Yeah, I mean, massive global recession. How's that for putting it in plain English here, right? I mean, the dollar is the reserve currency of the whole world, and it might not be if we go above the debt ceiling. That means U.S.'s credit limit gets downgraded. It's like if your credit limit were so bad you couldn't get a credit card. The problem is your credit card has $31 trillion on it, and that's how you fund everything we do in this country. I mean, the idea that the U.S.'s full faith in credit wasn't honored and that we couldn't meet our obligations. I mean, if you want to extend this metaphor of kind of how this all works, the U.S. doesn't pay for anything in cash. We put it all on that credit card, and if the credit card gets pulled, we're in big trouble. I mean, that's the simplest way I can describe the challenge we would have if what you see on your screen now are the measures that buy the Treasury Department time, maybe until June or so, to let these negotiations play out. If those measures are exhausted, we go above that limit, big trouble.
I'm telling y'all, invest in crypto now.
You haven't heard from me for a few weeks because we were out of session and there wasn't much to tell you, but we're back now, and the news is that we are headed for a government shutdown and a presidential impeachment. The first thing that happened when we all got back last week was one of the leaders of the right flank gave a big speech on the floor of the House. It was a speech directed to the leader of his own party in the House, the Speaker. He basically said, "Hey, Mr. Speaker, if you pass a budget that our group doesn't like, we'll fire you. We've got the votes to end your speakership, and we will call a vote every single day until you're gone." But what he really meant was, look, we know you're going to pass a budget this year, and we're not going to like it. So you have to give us something we want, or we'll fire you. The number one thing they want is a shutdown, because a shutdown comes with a ton of media attention for them. And as I've told you, for a lot of them, media attention is the whole ballgame. But what changed last week was the right flank basically saying that a shutdown wouldn't be enough. They wanted something more: impeachment. The Speaker really didn't want to give them that, but he did. Technically, he just began the impeachment investigation, but if he doesn't go through with impeachment at the end of the investigation, the right flank would just threaten to fire him again, and he'll do it. So basically, in exchange for being able to pass a budget at some point this year, the Speaker is trading his right flank a shutdown and an impeachment. The reason the Speaker doesn't want to do either of those things is he's worried they're going to hurt his party in the next election, and he wants to grow his majority. Right now, he only has a majority by 5 votes, which has made his life a living nightmare, because it means he just gets taken hostage over and over again by his right flank. Meanwhile, his right flank knows that if he's successful in growing their majority, ironically, it just means less power for them, which is why they're fine forcing the Speaker to do things that could backfire in the next election. Having a narrow majority lets them remain the decisive faction. And if forcing a shutdown for media attention seems like a really weird strategy, it's because you're not the target audience. The target is voters who get almost all of their news from certain cable news shows. That's who this whole maneuver is built for. It's a sliver of politicians working with a sliver of media to reach a sliver of voters. And if you're not in that small group, then none of this makes any sense. So that's the latest, and I'll keep you posted.
Do you believe the government is going to shut down?
Yes, and it's Kevin McCarthy's fault that the government is going to shut down because we didn't move individual spending bills. There's a lot of things going wrong in this country that we can blame the Democrats for. The border, the weaponized government, but we cannot blame the Democrats for having not done our job to comply with the coalition agreement that we made at the beginning of the year. That is the fault of the Speaker, and I believe that if he does not immediately remediate that, he will likely face a motion to vacate. I'm not for everyone. I get that. But a deal's a deal. And if Kevin McCarthy wasn't willing to honor the deal that he made to assume the speakership, then he should not have agreed to those terms. Inside Washington, D.C., people think they can just lie all the time with impunity and that no one's ever going to call them on their bullshit. But, Kevin broke this deal. And I intend to hold him to that deal or to hold daily votes on a motion to vacate. Yeah, I'm pretty frustrated. And I had so much hope when Speaker McCarthy made this agreement that we could turn this place around during both Republican and Democrat control. But instead, all we've gotten are lies and broken promises and failure and shutdowns. And while that may be Kevin McCarthy's legacy, it will not be mine.
I understand what's happening. I just don't understand why it's happening. And I would like somebody, if it's not too much trouble, somebody in the Republican Party to explain what's going on to me, or why it's going on. The far-right Republicans in the House of Representatives are threatening to impeach Joe Biden with no evidence. They're threatening to remove their own leader in Kevin McCarthy. And now they're threatening to shut down the government, leaving millions of people without their Social Security checks, millions of members of our military without their paychecks. Just regular, average, everyday people are going to suffer. And I don't know why. Like, what is to be gained by this other than creating chaos? I don't understand it. Can somebody explain it to me? If you have a minute.
Okay, so what the hell is going on with the possible government shutdown? Kevin McCarthy, the Republicans, what is happening? So basically, we have the furthest extreme right of the Republican Party holding everybody else hostage. They will not agree on a budget because A, they hate the government and want to sabotage it in every way they can. They hate Biden and want to sabotage him in every way they can. They hate you. They want to sabotage you in every way they can. And they say that they will not pass a budget that doesn't have 8% spending cuts, which is a non-starter. It's terrible. The most shocking thing about this desire to cut 8% from all of our funding is that the other way to do what Republicans claim they want to do, which is to lower the deficit, 1/3 of which is due to Republican tax cuts under Bush, under Reagan, and under Trump. 1/3 of it, $10 trillion of our federal deficit, is Republican tax cuts, which they do every time they get power. And then every time they're not in power, they come back around and say, oh, our deficit is huge. We have to cut spending on programs that Americans actually care about. So that is what they're doing again right now. I don't know how many times Americans are going to fall for this. It is ridiculous. If they wanted to lower the deficit, they could reverse Trump's tax cuts. But guess what they're trying to do right now? They're trying to extend them. So knowing that, understand this is all total bull, right? This is posturing. This is just nonsense. This is sabotage of Biden and the Democrats. And it is absolute disregard for the well-being of the American people. So let's get that out of the way. Republicans are saying if they don't get their 8% cuts and they don't get their, incredibly draconian measures that they want at the border, and if they don't get to defund the DOJ completely, like they want to defund the DOJ and maybe the FBI, if they don't get all of that, they're gonna shut down the government. So that means slow down to the delivery of Social Security checks. That means military and law enforcement will be forced to work with no pay. And as for disaster relief, well, yeah, that's unfortunate because a government shutdown is going to totally stick a knife in the side of FEMA. 10,000 children will lose access to Head Start programs. Air traffic controllers and TSA officers will have to work with no pay. That'll be great for travel and them. Oh, and be careful what you eat because there won't be any food safety inspections. These consequences are going to be real and they are going to be damaging and they are likely going to happen, and shame on the Republican Party for causing this to happen. The truth of the matter is they can't govern, Kevin McCarthy can't lead, and they don't care about you or me. Tell a friend. I hope that helped.
Hey guys, just a friendly reminder that our government will shut down on September 30th unless there's a continuance or a budget. And we have our House Republicans almost exclusively to blame. Remember when Biden and McCarthy negotiated so that we wouldn't default? Well, part of that was a plan for this very budget. But the House Republicans are reneging. And they are so selfless because they are willing to shut down the government and not get paid. What? Oh. Don't worry, your House representatives and your senators are going to get paid. You know who doesn't get paid? Oh, just everyday Americans like your federal workers, your military. But those are just pesky little details, aren't they? The important thing is that the very people that put us in this mess continue to get paid. That's so special.
10 days remain until the government shuts down unless Democrats and Republicans are able to make a deal, and right now it doesn't look like that's going to happen. In the Senate, both sides expect to be able to reach a compromise. But in the House, there is absolutely no progress. A bunch of far right-wing Republicans are determined to stop the leader of the Republicans from funding the government. Their demands include less government spending, less spending on Ukraine, fewer FBI investigations of their side, and money to build more wall on the southern border because Donald Trump definitely did not finish the job. Yesterday, there was a vote on funding our military, and 5 far right-wing Republicans joined Democrats to vote against the bill, making it fail. This has led both Democrats and Republicans to conclude there will most certainly be a shutdown.
The media is trying to scare everyone saying that there's going to be a government shutdown, but I'm going to tell you what's really happening in 60 seconds. Every single year, Congress is supposed to pass a bill on September 30th that outlines the money that will be spent on the government that upcoming year. That might sound like absolute gibberish. So to put things simply, they're supposed to put money aside for essential government workers, military members, government pension plans, and so much more. If they do not pass this bill, then employees will have to come to work and not get paid. Those pension plans might stall, and a lot of other bad things would happen. One part of Congress, the Senate, has done their homework and they're ready to pass the bill, but the House has not done their homework yet. That's because certain members are willing to shut down the government in order to get what they want. Now, the kicker in all of this is that Democrats and Republicans already came to a handshake agreement with what this budget would be, but now certain people are going back on their word. And the bigger kicker is all these Congress members get paid no matter what happens. Because the House has been late in their processes, a bill will not get passed by September 30th, and people will be furloughed and affected because of it. With that said, eventually everything will be okay, and until it gets okay, I'll continue to report on it.
Okay, so I did a research on who gets paid during shutdown so that you don't have to. Government shutdown, who gets paid, details, let's get into it. So like the coming fall solstice on September 23rd, the looming government shutdown on midnight September 30th is almost a rite of passage. The federal government's fiscal year is from October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. If a new annual budget is not passed by Congress, the government effectively shuts down. Federal employees are furloughed except those who are considered essential to the safety and security of the nation. The shutdown is in place until a budget or continuing resolution CR is passed by Congress. A CR can extend the government's daily operation with no increase in spending. The duration of a CR can be days, weeks, or months as determined by the Congress. Furloughed employees are told not to report to work. Employees who are considered essential, such as military and federal law enforcement, are referred to as accepted to report for work. They will not receive pay until shutdown ends. Contractors and contracts are not paid. In the past decade, there have been two notable shutdowns. In 2013, during the Obama administration, the shutdown lasted 16 days. And during the Trump administration, the shutdown lasted 35 days. From December 22, 2018 to January 25, 2019, the shutdown, the Constitution allows the following government employees to get paid. 1. The President, the Congress, federal judges, Social Security, SSI, military and federal retirees are paid as per legislation. Yeah, there's no guarantee that furloughed employees will receive retroactive once the shutdown ends. Historically, Congress has voted to pay federal employees. Accepted employees will be paid. The cost of a shutdown goes beyond retroactive pay. The Congressional Budget Office estimated the 2018 to 2019 shutdown to cost the nation's economy roughly $3 billion. You guys, please let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Please let me know, contribute, let's discuss, let's talk about this in the comment section below. Leave your own thoughts here. Subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already, and please give this video a thumbs up, share it to your people, as many people as you can, and I'll definitely see you in my next video. Stay peaceful.